So, not many movies like this come out nowadays, but I kind of like it when they do. Operation Mincemeat. Now, Operation Mincemeat is started by John Madden, and basically follows the story of these two British intelligence officers who essentially want to outwit the German army and also want to prevent a massacre on Sicily in 1943 during World War II. And that's the general plot of the movie, although there's a lot more to it than that, but that's the basic plot of Operation Mincemeat. And honestly, I really liked this movie. It was compelling, it was intriguing, it was fascinating, and it's a proper spy story, and that's kind of why I liked it so much. I like seeing the intricacies of the British intelligence organisation during World War II, because I haven't really seen this sort of story done before, and I really liked that about it. And also, it's a British wartime story about hidden figures during World War II. It's not your typical war movie like 1917, or like Saving Private Ryan. No, it's much more like The Imitation Game and much more like Bridge of Spies, where it's more, where the film's more about characters walking into rooms and talking to each other. I mean, it's a bit more to it than that, but you get the point I'm trying to make. It's much more characters walking into rooms and talking to each other, and it's more about the hidden figures behind World War II, and I really liked that about it. Honestly, I found this film intriguing and compelling because I believed in the characters. I enjoyed watching these characters in the movie, because all the performances are great. Honestly, everyone is so good in the movie, and even so, it did kind of feel like I was watching actors do a performance. Like it felt like I was watching Colin Firth do a performance, Macfadyen do a performance, Macdonald, and so on and so on and so on. Even so, it did feel like that. They made their characters believable, and they also made the film moving because they made their characters believable. Honestly, I really enjoyed watching Colin Firth in the film. I think he did a great performance. Same with Matthew Macfadyen. Matthew Macfadyen, by the way, he was so good in Succession. Honestly, if you haven't watched Succession yet, what are you waiting for? And he plays my favourite character in Succession right now, by the way. But yeah, Matthew Macfadyen is great in the film. He's probably my favourite character to watch in there. Also, Jason Isaacs great in the film as well. I almost couldn't remember the actor's name, but yeah, Jason Isaacs is brilliant in the film. And also, Johnny Flinch, I think his name is, Johnny Flinch. He's great in the film as Ian Fleming. So there's your big spy link, if you know who Ian Fleming is. I really like the way Johnny Flinch played Ian Fleming. He was probably the most fun character to watch in my opinion. And also, his character kind of added some relief to the situation every time he showed up on screen, kind of like comic relief, because even so, he's not a funny character. Whenever he was on screen, he was kind of fun to watch in this film, which is quite intense and quite suspenseful. And yeah, all the performances are actually fantastic, and they make the film believable. They make the characters in the film believable, even so I did feel like I was watching an actor's performance. It was a weird thing though, that I still thought they made the characters believable. And actually some of my favourite moments of the movie are just watching these characters talk to one another. It's kind of interesting just watching them in clubs during the 1940s, and it's just, yeah, just their interactions are really fun to watch in my opinion. But also, they make the film moving. There's quite a lot of moments of the film which are moving and quite emotional towards, particularly towards the end of the movie, and I thought that was really good in there as well. And also it's a proper spy story, particularly with the addition of Ian Fleming in there, which again, if you know your spy novels, should I say, you'll know the big link between, Ian Fleming and other big spy characters. I'm going to leave that out in the open. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. But yes, basically, I love the fact that Ian Fleming was in this movie, because I'm guessing Ian Fleming was actually involved in the, the quote-unquote true story that this one's based on. By the way, I did quotation marks there, because sometimes when a film like this is based on a true story, you don't know how true it is. Sometimes parts of the film can be fictionalized. That has happened quite a lot with these quote-unquote true stories. But yes, I'm guessing the real-life Ian Fleming was involved in this true story when it happened in 1943, and I really like the addition of him in there, though, and also he narrates the movie. But yeah, I really liked him in there, and also I thought the performances were great as well, and I thought it was quite an emotional and moving film, and I thought the performances really elevated it to become more emotional than it actually deserved to be. Like, even so, I quite like this movie. I don't think it's particularly brilliant in terms of filmmaking, and I don't think it's got a particularly amazing script either, but I think the performances elevate this into something which is both emotional, moving, and also intense to watch, and just all in such a great way. Honestly, I thought this was a great watch. I really enjoyed watching the cinema, and also I think that another reason it's intense and suspenseful to watch is because of the Thomas Newman musical score. Much like Bridge of Spies, which is another film I compared of this film to, much like Steven Spielberg, which is why should I say, you know, Thomas Newman did the score for that movie and made it more intense and suspenseful in my opinion, and that's the same thing that happens here. Even so, it doesn't have, you know, big fantastical battle sequences. I feel that Thomas Newman's score, and the performance as well, elevates so many scenes towards the end of the film to become more suspenseful and intenseful than they have any right to be. And I really like the Thomas Newman musical score in this movie, but I think he did a great job, you know, making so many moments intense just in the music alone. I think he did a great job in doing that. And also, I found it compelling to watch. I do not know the story. I've got to admit, I didn't know the story going into watching it at the cinema yesterday. And actually, I came out and I was like, wow. I come out and go, that ending was quite profound, actually. And I really like the way, you know, just finding out how everything happened, just finding out how all these events unfolded in 1943. I just found it interesting, intriguing, and fascinating as well, like I already said. I found it fascinating to watch, and it just all in the best way possible. As for criticisms, I will say, though, that there's this subplot, there's a romantic subplot between Kelly Macdonald's character and Colin Firth's character, which I just never brought into. I've just got to admit, it's not a terrible plotline in the movie, it's not even that bad either. I just kind of felt it was insignificant and inconsequential in the grand scheme of things in this movie. I didn't really buy into it, and maybe that's just because I felt like I was watching Colin Firth and Kelly Macdonald as the performance in this movie. At the same time, though, I did believe in those characters at the same time. It was a weird mix here, but I just didn't buy into that relationship between those two characters. I just kind of it was insignificant, and it's a large chunk of the movie. Well, I say it's a large chunk, but it's a chunk of the movie, though. It's about half an hour of the movie they devote on this romantic subplot. I don't understand why it's there. It's more complex than the character that Colin Firth and Colin Macdonald play, but at the same time, though, I don't know. I just kind of felt insignificant in the grand scheme of things of this movie, and also parts of the movie just feel a bit stagey. And sometimes you're watching and going like, can we not just move on? I know what this scene's trying to do. Can we not just move on to the next scene here? Because some parts of them do feel a bit staging, like we're moving from one set piece to the next set pieces, the next set piece. And sometimes that didn't always work for me, although overall it did. Overall, I did really enjoy watching this movie. I wouldn't say actually I enjoyed watching it, but I did really like watching it. You know, there is a difference there, particularly war movies like Schindler's List. I wouldn't ever say I enjoyed watching Schindler's List, but I think it was a really interesting movie to watch, and that's kind of the same thing here. Although this movie is, you know, far different than Schindler's List, it does have quite a lot of emotional moving moments though, which I wouldn't say I enjoyed watching. But at the same time though, there are quite a lot of moments which are sprinkled comedy in the movie as well, and I think probably the most enjoyable moments for me in this film, watching the characters interact with one another, particularly Colin Firth and Matthew Macfadyen's character, the two main characters in the movie. Watching those two interact, I feel, were the best moments of the movie for me personally. And also, by the way, the filmmaking is good. I don't think the filmmaking is brilliant, but the filmmaking is good. But sometimes some of the editing is a bit off. It'd be that sort of editing where two characters will start talking in one location, and then will finish their sentence in another location. It's just kind of like, I don't know. There's sometimes the editing doesn't always work for me in movies. And also, it is one of those movies which, you know, begins with the end and ends with the beginning, if you get what I mean. It begins with the end, and then you don't find out how the end ends, and so you have to wait to the end to watch how it ends. And sometimes that works for me, sometimes it doesn't. In the case of this movie, you know what, I'm going to say it works for me here. I'm going to say it works for me, but it does begin with the end, and I was a bit like, ew, God, why have you done that? And then actually, by the time we got to the finale of the movie, by the time we got to the final act of the movie, I actually kind of felt that it worked in the grand scheme of things, because I felt that the previous two acts of the movie built up to this final act, which was quite intense and quite suspenseful to watch, and also quite moving to watch as well. I really liked the way everything was orchestrated in this movie overall, and I just found it a really good watch, because it was just elevated by great performances in there, and also by a great musical score, and just by the way everything was orchestrated, and just by the way the final act of the film plays out. It was a worthwhile watch, and I thought the performances were brilliant. You know, I've gone on about performances, but they were really good. But also the fact that I didn't know the story was really good as well. You know, it was a compelling story, and that's coming from someone who didn't really know the story. I mean, I kind of heard about the story because I studied history in secondary school, but at the same time, though, you know, I didn't really know the intricacies of this story. I didn't really know the little bits and pieces of the story. I didn't know the detail of the story, and when I was watching it in the cinema, I was like, wow, this was really interesting, and I found it really compelling to watch. And, you know, much like Bridge of Spies, it's emotional, it's moving, but it's also intense, and it's compelling to watch, and it's intriguing to watch, and I just thought it was great to watch overall when I saw it in the cinema last night. And so, all in all, I'm going to say that Operation Mincemeat, I'm going to say that's a 7.8 out of 10. You know, this movie isn't going to be for everyone. Unlike 1917 and unlike 751, it doesn't have big, fantastic battle sequences. But at the same time, though, much like The Imitation Game and much like British Spies, which I mentioned before, it's got moments where characters will be walking into rooms and talk to one another. I mean, it's much more than that when you watch the film, but it is a film with a lot of characters walking into rooms and talking to one another, and personally that works for me, but it's not going to work for everyone. So I want to reiterate that it's not going to be for everyone, this movie, but personally I really liked it. I found it great to watch, and it reminded me of Bridge of Spies, it reminded me of Steven Spielberg's Bridge of Spies, and in such a good way. Honestly, I came out of the movie, I was like, wow, that was really emotional and moving, and just, all in all, yeah, really great to watch. I found it intense as well, which I haven't really talked about, but towards the final act of the movie, I found it all quite intense and quite suspenseful to watch, just simply because of the way everything had been orchestrated in the movie leading up to the final act, which I thought did a really nice and really moving payoff, and just in such a good way. And so, all in all, I thought Operation Mincemeat was a great movie, and I'm going to say that's also a 7.8 out of 10 for me. Anyway guys, what do you think of Operation Mincemeat? Please do comment down below, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Anyway guys, I may not be uploading as much over the next couple of weeks, simply because I've got essays and assignments due soon, but I'm going to try and upload as much as possible. But anyway guys, thank you as always for watching, and if you haven't yet, please do click down below and like subscribe on this video, and look forward to many more, both film and TV reviews come very soon on this channel. See you guys again soon, but bye for now, bye!